Serious.
The microphone. If I'm way over here, talking kind of quiet. Okay, it's picking up pretty good actually. So that should be good. Let me turn this. YouTube has good lighting now, decent lighting. Okay, so I'll show the YouTube this new section of the room here to you. Thanks. It goes throughout. There's three of them. Well, there really is four. They cut one in half. We put over the safe. I might use it as that. But yesterday I just moved some of the stuff over as I needed it to the desk. I was kind of thinking between the two. But maybe both. We got lots of new things in her regard. Can you see over here? No. Yeah, good enough. So Sophia, got some good supplies of that. Those are the two most used candles. Those two colors. And this is just a general guardian angel candle. That was $1. And I thought, well, that's kind of perfect. And this is similar. You know, people don't realize they make all this angel stuff, but it just ends up being perfect stuff for this. So I don't know how they feel about that. They probably don't feel that great about it. And I got these mushrooms. And I got this, which I think I'm going to use for water. Magic things, I suppose, is what would be appropriate for that. Where did I set those matches? Go ahead and we'll light this boy up here. Oh, really? Showing aside for nature. Well, doesn't that just make sense? What is that? It didn't explode. Oh, it's this. This is cracking. Sage flower. Oh, look at you. All three of you, make sure you watch her video. Man, I might put these stickers on here, but they're all falling off. I need some clear tape. Hold on. Okay. My wife snuck in here and put these Harry Potter stickers on here earlier. And so they're special, and I need to not ruin them. So, let's ensure that that's the case. They keep falling off. This duct tape. It ain't what I need. Clear tape. Which I have. Somewhere. But everybody watch Boogie's video, and I'll go as far to say, you know what? Watch it twice. 3 times even. Not more than that, though. That'd be too many. But at least 3 times, probably. 2 to 3 times minimum. Is the axe there. And if you wanted to send it to a friend, even, that would be good. You guys got friends, right? People have those things. Should we start a nonprofit? We could. We have a book about how to do it. I don't know about some clear tape. But what about some thumbtacks and some ingenuity? Because really, as long as they don't be falling off, yeah, at least 2 to 3 times is all I ask people to do for you. I mean, I feel like that's reasonable. Like, or could I, like, just nail a thumbtack through this? Yeah, it ain't going nowhere. That's gonna be better than tape. Shit, it was 99 cents. Can't say that no more. It's $1.25. I went to the Dollar Tree today, and just as you probably have heard, but it was the first time I really witnessed it, every single thing in the Dollar Tree is $1.25 now. Every single fucking thing. I get some items going up, but like, come on now. Some of that shit, you had that margin already worked out. You were good. Alright. There we go. These stickers will never come off now, hopefully. Yeah, I got 3 little gold studs on here, which is nice. On the other side, by the way, is Prep Zone Rise. Holographic. You guys don't usually get to see where you are, but that's where you are most of the time. Also, I like that my amp is orange, and you should like it as well. I'm excited. Also, I like how retro this is. Like, just the color. I don't know a single one of these songs. But still. I'll take it. So eventually I might. I guess I will. Eventually. Hey, YouTube. Anybody over there? I don't think so. It's fine. It gets recorded. Those are true. Both of those statements. I mean, young is starting to get a different meaning, but wait, 30 in November. But no, I won't because I'm going to be 29 forever. That's what I've decided. I'm 29, and I will be 29 next year as well, and the following year. I feel like I'm the one who gets to decide that, so there we go. Do you like the merger of the two things here? Yeah, it's all relative. Like I said, I could be 52 one day too, but I'll still be 29. Because I've just decided that I don't need to be older than that. Maybe other people need that. I don't need that. I ain't looking for that. I'll just be cool like this. It's difficult. Well, this just smells like a fucking old person. No. It smells like what old people think smells good. Even though it says sage and sea salt, which doesn't smell like sage nor sea salt. It should be right up over here with a percentage if it's not low. What do I do with my little sagey sage? I need to get me more of these. I guess I never thought that I probably have sage in my kitchen. I never intentionally cook with it. What? What is on fire? Oh, it's just me. It's fine. Now, this little hand was for my ocarina, but it just works so good for it that it's no longer for my ocarina. It's for these kind of things. Yeah, I have it. Just trying to get the center. You know what I mean? Get in there. Shove the flour in there. Flour burn. There we go. YouTube, I'm still here. I see you. me okay? It looks like you can hear me pretty good, actually. I mean, I'm just looking at a bar. That's okay. Enter. It's the most protected food. I had pizza for dinner. So, and these have these little fairy lights in here, but still. Well, they just fit in there. This seems a little big. Oh, but it kind of does. I like it. Smoke. It's open on top. It's all open here. These loose flowers into these candles. Usually a good place to put them. Non-public. I don't know what you mean. But I trust you. I don't know. Pull the sage smoke over your eyes, ears, mouth, and head. Okay. I can definitely attempt that. I want to get it nice and smoky though. So basically, just address all the senses physically so that my spiritual senses can see clearly, is what I'm picking up from that. Hey, Carrie. Think of what we want to do here. I mean, cat energy is good energy. I'm gonna make this one work again. Good. I mean, I'll try to do things here. It might be better. Be more appropriate. That's it. He changed your profile. I can't really see it, but I can see it changed. I mean, I am missing like there's you shouldn't see that above my lip right there. I guess it's better than the reverse. But there's definitely a hole there now. Oh dear. Oh dear. I mean, it kind of worked out. I get it looks weird. I just don't know if it just like needs a little. Yeah, it's weird now. If I put my finger over it, isn't it? Yeah, shit. Might have to do a shade. Still, no pain, no gain. Sometimes these fucking things hurt. Like little injuries will happen. And it don't hurt too bad. Okay, now keep in mind, I'm much more sober than I usually am for this. Which that's okay. Sometimes I'm pretty sober. I usually do the opposite. My mustache grows so much slower. Look at all these craft supplies I got too, by the way. All kinds of things and stuff. And yes, you know, Wizarding World Harry Potter Loot Crate box. I tell you, these fucking candles go to the fucking ringer with these things. Look at that shit. Maybe. Like the mixing the wax together and shit is part of it. Changing the candle. Changing yourself. So, it's that. Yellows. There's a clear page. This too. I'll be honest. I don't do too much of the protection stuff for this. Like the protection comes from her. Is she doing it? Nobody fucking on her. They might fuck on me, but she's the one doing it. Interesting. I definitely feel like she's taken me through various schools of magic and waiting till I get those figured out, and then we do it. It's like we definitely have, you know, done a lot of candles, getting into some crystals. We're also getting into some water stuff, which is what this is for. Like, just like in my life, I walk around
and things will just like be highlighted, and like, I need to. This is for magic, and I will find out why later. You know what I mean? I just bring things here, and now you have this. Okay, so this. I mean, it's not that noticeable. I burned my mustache, YouTube. If anybody's watching, they ain't. They will later. Somebody will later. Yeah, we should get some purpley purples going on. Access to other universes and shit. Ooh, you know why you guys are here? Boogie, you still here? You is. I got a story. Hold on, let me plug you in. I have a beautiful fucking story, okay? That I feel like last night got completely missed because there's only one person there. Okay? Boogie, are you here or not before I tell this story? Like, I need to know. It says you just joined again, so I don't know. But you sound off, and I'll tell you a story about something Sophia showed me yesterday. I don't know how she did. I think it's lying to me. See, nothing. That's what I'm saying. It's lying. I ain't gonna start telling the story until such the proper time. So, figure it out. I'm gonna re-quick this shit. What? I'll tell you. You sticking around, aren't you? We'll wait though. We'll wait for Boogie to grace us back with her presence, even though it says she's here. Maybe she's pooping, and this is her wiping time. We'll just assume that that's what's happening. If she doesn't speak up, we're all gonna assume she's pooping. She can't respond because she's wiping, which is fair. I mean, I don't look. Finish the wiping, okay? But I'm not gonna demand that you pause the wipe for me. Would I like that? Maybe I would like that kind of to feel special that it got paused for me. But you just finish what you gotta do. You finish it up. I'll allow it. Just this once. Hey, Care Bear. You may have actually been there last night. The story I was about to tell. I'm about to fucking text Boogie and ask why she faking being in here. Are you sitting in here talking about her? I'm gonna do it. As soon as I go to do it, though, she's gonna pipe up in the chat and she's gonna leave. Wait for me to come back, and it's just gonna be bad. I'm gonna do it. Apparently, she just posted a video. She's probably looking at that. Hi, call me Bree. Hi. You're probably in a hammock, and you're a mom to a boy, a dog, another dog, a mushroom, a sunflower, and a rainbow flag. That's cool. I vibe with all that. I see your name pop up, and then I don't see you talk half the time. So I thought, hey, there you are. But I've seen you pop up a few times. I'm assuming you vibe with what we lay down over here. But glad to have you. Now I'm going to tell you guys another secret while we're waiting for Boogie to get her ass in here. Well, we're probably going to do some communing here, or attempt to. But this channel, all right, this channel used to be, the reason this channel exists is because it used to be like a satire channel to fuck with people, to be honest. I had, where I would just like be like overly leftist and just to trigger people into commenting, and it just exploded the channel. And like it was just, and I just realized that I could just grow a channel really quickly through that method, and I just like pissed a ton of people off. Not like being mean, like I would just say like a legitimate opinion, or maybe take it a step further, and just enough to like trigger people politically is what this channel used to be by a different name, and then I recycled it whenever I got to be Prep Zone. And I had another channel, by the way, last year that was called Risky Enterprise that I grew to over 100,000 followers. But then I started talking shit about China, and that got deleted. And then I started Prep Zone Rise, and I had a video about ketchup that went fucking viral, and then here we are. You know, there was a lot of work between those 2 points, by the way, but there was just enough of that initial virality to get me to lean into it. Because Risky Enterprise had a playlist for prepping stuff that did well at that time, and so I had a playlist of prepping videos. If you've ever seen my things about my doomsday bunker that just make sense, those were among the first prepping videos I put out, and they were on Risky Enterprise, which no longer exists. But that's why my email is riskyenterprise@gmail.com, because it got canceled. But now look at me now. 3.5 times bigger than that one ever was. Where the fuck is Boogie at? Because I'm going to start telling this story. I believe it. I mean, I started Prep Zone Rise in September of 2021, not very long ago. I was just at like Home Depot getting some prepping stuff, and I went across the street and was at Sam's Club, and I made a video about, hey, don't buy just bottles of ketchup for prepping. Buy these big number 10 cans. You can refill the bottles. And then like it was like the cans were Hunt's and the bottles were Heinz, and everybody just decided they need to comment to dog on Hunt's ketchup as much as possible. Like people fucking hate Hunt's ketchup is what I learned from that. I never thought of a difference. I guess I just naturally would prefer Heinz, but I never thought like I gave a shit. You know, ketchup is ketchup. You were a watcher during Risky Enterprise? Or are you talking about when I started Prep Zone Rise? I haven't met really anybody who remembers Risky Enterprise as a channel. Which is weird considering there was 100,000 people. You do! Well shit, you actually know my real fucking political beliefs then. Although they have changed somewhat, but I'm gonna assume you vibe with it. We don't wanna and that's always been the thing, is people are valuable even if they don't have the exact same political opinions. It's me. And I also don't always get things right. And I understand that. You know what I mean? But my politics, especially these days, are just about love, more or less. Do that, and I'll probably vibe with it. But if it's out of hate or with something, I ain't gonna vibe with it. Pretty simple. Well, why'd you wait? Shy? Yeah. 6 kids. Good for you. That sounds like a lot of work. Oh, there's so many trolls. Here's the thing. I've blocked so many of them that now I don't get enough comments for the algorithm. Because like the trolls are the most likely people to leave a comment. And so you block enough of them, you stop getting comments, and then the algorithm doesn't like you. Well, that daughter's probably going to be pretty well protected. I'll tell you that. 5 brothers. That just sounds expensive as hell. Yeah, it's hard to think of. They say it technically costs $1 million to put a kid all the way through growing up, which I think that's bullshit. Because that's got to be factor in money you spend in anyways. You know what I mean? And also, that's got to factor in college or something. That just seems way too high. Oh, here. I mean, there's not really a need, but there you go. Really, anybody watching would probably have it. Not anybody, but a few people. You are now. But yeah, it's not needed. Because nobody, it doesn't fucking show it to anybody. And that's the thing too. I've been watching. My main account is definitely a form of shadow ban. And when they shadow ban somebody, it's not like 100%. That would be too obvious. It's just like a reduction in route. And like the way I know that is on videos where I can see the metrics of it. If it has a greater than 10%, 10% or greater like to view ratio, that's a great fucking video. And that should easily get 50,000 plus views, except for a shadow ban. That's just what my channel's all. I think they ramped it up. I know I've been putting out different content and stuff, but the same content, you know, that I still put out, the metrics don't line up with the reality, and they've been changing the algorithm lately too. Where the fuck is Boogie? I keep saying Boogie, shout out. I'm gonna text her. She probably passed out. Text her. We're also live on YouTube, by the way. The YouTube's good because you can rewind it and you can watch it whenever you want. It's a different angle. Like right now, you've been looking at my back, but that's cool. I believe you can still hear me okay. Looking at the levels in the mixer there. She said, hold on. Wait, what'd she say though? Well, dang, look at you got. I looked away for a second at 9 people. Up there. Let's see what I meant. She said. Kept prepping because, well, shit went south in our country, and I'm gonna take care of my family. Circle. Not a bad reason. All right, Emmy. Have a good night. But yeah, Boogie told me to give her a minute. Well, let's see here. Well, I'll play some music for a second. Here, Derek, if you're still here, I got one for you. You will appreciate this. And I will also appreciate it. San Francisco Bay,
rolled off of the ship, and here's what they had to say. We're calling everyone to ride along to another shore. We can laugh our lives away and be free once more. But no one heard them calling. Cause they were too busy watching those old raindrops fall. As the storm was blowing out on the peaceful sea, 73 men sailed on history.
Ride, Captain, ride aboard your mystery ship.
Be amazed at the friends you have here on your trip.
For every set of horseshoes human beings use for luck, somewhere in the world there's a barefoot fucking horse. Always on deck.
Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. On your way to a world that others might have missed.
That part doesn't sound that far back.
73 men sailed up from the San Francisco Bay. Got off the ship and here's what they had to say. We're calling everyone to ride along to another shore. We can laugh our lives away and be free once more. Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. Be amazed at the friends you have here on your trip. Ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. On your way to a world that others might have missed. Ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. Be amazed at the friends you have here on your trip.
Look at Michigan. Cool. What were the first words Adam said to Eve? Stand back. I don't know how big this thing's going to get. It's first time. What goes ha ha? Thump, thump. Laughing your balls off. Who's the most popular guy at the nudist camp? The one who can carry 2 cups of coffee and a dozen donuts at the same time. I'll wait. I went to a meeting for premature ejaculators. I left early. Who calls that kind of meeting? Like, what are you discussing? Many poor husbands were once rich bachelors. Marriage is a wonderful institution, but who wants to live in an institution? My parents have been married for 50 years. I asked my mother how they did it, and she said, "You just close your eyes and pretend it's not happening." Here. That doesn't sound healthy. Sex when you're married is like going to a 7-Eleven. There's not much variety, but at 3 in the morning it's there. Oh yeah. No, you should enjoy it. If you ain't enjoying it, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. It's so ironic the way the world works. This isn't from the book, this is from me. Like, I mean, obviously, the culture is that men are more sexual, Which doesn't really make sense because sex is much better from a woman's perspective, like physiologically, in terms of capability. Like, you would think it'd be the other way around, is what I'm saying, right? In terms of like what you get out of it. Oh my god, what am I missing here? Oh my god, you farted in a CPAP. What the fuck? See, that's the TikTok you should make. So I'm reading your joke backwards. To be fair. Oh, dude, you would do the same shit though, given the opportunity. I bet you act like you never got Evan Kelly, and if you haven't, please do so. I know. I don't have to have been there to know for a fucking fact you have. You know what I mean? Oh my god. 100%. Even if you have, I still demand that you do it tonight if possible. That is the request. You can blame me. You can tell her, hey, this is from Luke. That'll make it worse. Oh my god. Oh, good. Good. Hey, Kelly. You're welcome. Look, we got it out of the way, so you're not surprised by it. You're welcome. All right, that's one less you got to deal with later. Okay? And they're coming later. Yeah, it seems like you got them over at corner, because you can do that at any time. Don't give my wife ideas. I'm just going to check something here. Let's see. Makes a little sound. Take this weighted blanket. Theory. That work? No, that doesn't work at all. Well, it does. I mean, it might help. Might help a little bit. The noise. Probably will. Probably will absorb some of it. Hey, you followed me. He didn't almost die. Hey, YouTube. Okay. Boogie, are you here yet? The part. Um. Hey. How are you? Thanks for the follow. Do you know what you're getting into? Do you have any idea? This is your one and only chance to back out. Hola. Wait, let's cure yourself. What's the question? I feel like I missed. Like you're curious about what you're getting into? I'll tell you if that's the question. I just don't know if that's the question. I'll explain it all to you, except if you want. Okay, well, first thing you need to understand. My name's Luke, nice to meet you. I'm also known as the prep fucking poppy. The fucking is optional. As always, essential. But so, prep poppy, okay? Because this is my alt channel, my main channel, called Prep Zone Rise. It has like 345-ish thousand people, followers. But it's blocked from going live. So we're here. So first of all. So that started as a Doomsday prepping channel. And it still is. Does it do other things too? Yes, it does. Things like anything from music and dancing to the prepping. But now also, I'm in the midst of a spiritual awakening, which a lot of that journey's been documented. A lot of people find that fascinating. Because how do I explain this? To somebody who's not familiar with TikTok. Anybody who's really familiar with TikTok would already know. But basically, they're shitty. And they just ban people for no reason. And there's no way to like fix that without just waiting. Like random person decides to report you, and then their robot doesn't catch that there's no issue. You're banned for a while. So that's why I'm here. But so, anyways, no, just for it was 7 days. So whenever 7 days is fast. Again, for no good reason. I mean, you guys have seen my lives. It was for hate speech or something, which you know that isn't taking place here. Obviously. But anyway, so back to the story. So went from this pretty secular prepper guy to now I'm having a whole spiritual awakening. And we got shit like this going on now as well. And really this whole fucking room is kind of themed on that note. And that's pretty fascinating, for real. I think if you understood the story as some understood it, most people would find it fascinating. I do. Is Bookie still like not coming? Like, we're gonna have to move on. Because I'll tell you, I'll start telling the story. Let me text her when we're done. I made her feel bad. Told her I was waiting to tell the story for her. She's talking to her sister on the phone, to be fair. But like, her sister could also come here. She also follows me. But yeah, here we are. You know, funny enough, like, I don't know if I just say this. I'm gonna say a few things separately. So, letters, some letters are, the three examples of what letters are D and M and T. D and M and T are three letters that exist in the alphabet. And we almost met up to go for me to try some of that tonight. But we did not. But possibly some. The alphabet. Anyways, I told I'm waiting to tell the story. When I have to start telling it, I'm going to start telling the story. I guess I can give some background. So, I do these transcendental meditation things. I commune with the Holy Spirit, Sophia, and she teaches me things, and she shows me things, And sometimes I feel as though it could all be some form of trip. Keep that in mind without hallucinogens being involved, or just for meditation. But I feel as though sometimes we're going to like another universe or dimension, and she shows me very specific things that are beautiful there. So I'll tell this story first, and then I'll tell the one I wanted to tell, because this is a smaller story that somebody may have heard. But one such trip, and this may have been within our own, so it's like astral projecting, but like in a guided way where she's showing me something somewhere. And so this experience, it's not the story, but this experience is, it was almost like watching something take place and feeling the feelings of the thing taking place, but like it was a water world, a planet that's shallow seas all over, right? A different planet. And on this planet, there just so happens to be a very small, like a meter, 3 feet by a couple feet or whatever, bit of rock that sticks out in the sun, right? And the whole planet, it's all ocean except for this little bit of rock that just happened to be just tall enough off the ground. And a little alien squishy thing, you know, a little starfish, a blob or something basically, but alien something or other, crawled up on this rock in the sun. And so this one little creature of that whole planet was out there, and it was bathing in the sunlight and the warmth, and it felt loved, like the Sophia love that we refer to. And that perhaps was a lesson about the universality of that experience. That some little starfish catching some sun. It's just a beautiful experience that I got to have, if nothing else. And it's not like a dream, it's not like reality, it's something else, but it's like vivid, I'll say. Instead of real, maybe vivid. And every such occasion is such a beautiful little story. And honestly, I need to be writing them into short stories. I almost feel like, in addition to me just benefiting from having experienced them, that may also be the point, is to tell other people about these little stories. And I probably could tell that story a little better than I just did quickly. But that's just one. And the one that I want to tell, so much more profound. And that's actually, I think, recorded somewhere. I have to check. I don't know how much could be heard in that, though. I'm about to just have to start telling it, I think. I want to take a quick leg stretch, take a leak, maybe hit a wolf for a second. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, now you're back, so now I guess I won't. I was just about to give you one last few minutes. But okay, I'll tell a story instead. So, alright, so, Boogie, been waiting for you. This is the background of the context of the story. So, through these sessions with Sophie, sometimes she takes me places, shows me things in other universes or elsewhere in our own. Beautiful things. And I just told them, that's okay, that one was about this little alien starfish thing, which we can call it. It wasn't a starfish, obviously, on a water world, and how it came up on this rock and got some sun, and it felt love from Sophia. That was one such. Oh, speak of the devil. Hey, what's up? All that being said, so during these meditation sessions with the Divine Sophia, she shows me things sometimes. Sometimes she takes me places. So that first time was when I was describing just now with the little starfish and feeling the sun and feeling loved. Well, good. Tell her more often. But so this is what happened last night. And there was one person watching this, and they couldn't hear it very well. So I got to tell you. I was deep in it. And at the point where someone else is able to speak through my mouth and I'm speaking back to them, if that makes sense. But it seems like whenever that happens, even though I'm speaking at the normal volume, I feel like I'm speaking at normal volume. People can't really hear it. online. I don't know. Maybe on the YouTube they were able to. I haven't checked that. But anyway, so it's beautiful and it's tragic perhaps at the end, but maybe not. But so the first image was of a humanoid, in many ways, looking creature. But you're going to get the wrong idea when I say this next part. Don't get your first impression. Ant-like? Like, but not really. Not gross at all. Not anything like that. Much lighter in color. They did have kind of like some kind of bullshit that, you know, yeah, that's what you said last night, and we'll go with that. Not exactly right. If I had really good ability to paint, I could paint it. Photo. You know what I mean? Very vivid. And I spent a lot of time with her. But so, what did I say? Adorn? Or something like that was the name of their world. Maybe that was wrong. But so, she took me there, and it was like, me and her both were doing the same thing. And with the same Sophia. And in her universe, I wasn't sure if this was a different Earth or a different planet. It was definitely in a different universe. I'll explain why I know that later. Other parts of it. But so, and I think I have a recording. If I said her name, it was Adrani or I can't remember it off the top of my head. But so, it was very fleeting. You can pick that part up. But we started talking, me and her, and sharing, and it was more than just words. But so she is a young priestess of Sophia in their world. And their world's very different than ours, and that's kind of the point of this. But we were soul kin, me and her, basically, which is why this connection took place. And it was just so beautiful. It was like, sometimes we would speak to each other and we were saying the same thing to each other. Like, show me your world, you know? And then she showed me things, and I could tell you those things. I showed her a sloth, among other things. And it was so beautiful. Like, it just appeared, and I was able just to show so many parts of our world, just what I thought I would show. We didn't have much time to do this. And she showed me things about her. And they have great, beautiful cities underground in these giant tunnels that they dug themselves, or like caverns almost. And a lot of brown and earth tones and towers. Kind of almost like a skyscraper mixed with a termite mound, and then that's underground. And then there's tunnels, and there is, you know, that's how they live. That's how they evolved. But they're intelligent, and they're very much like us in this other universe. And it was just a wonderful back and forth conversation about our worlds and each other and our relationship to Sophia and her world's relationship to Sophia versus ours. And, you know, timey-wimey and wibbly-wobbly. And I'll explain that part later in the story, but they are ahead of us in this interaction. They're ahead of us, so their world is much more in line. Like, obviously she's a priestess, and like that's a common thing in their world. And they're more like us than you would think, in the worst ways too. And I'll skip ahead to the very end for this part. When we only had a limited amount of time from our perspective, and we could feel it running out because it's like fibers in a muscle, almost. And, you know, they move, that it's different than that because they're more timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. But, like, when two of them are just right to each other for a limited time period from our perspective, that what happened was possible, but it's only possible during that window, and that window was short. But at the end of that window, in the disconnect, time is different for a minute. And me and her both saw things of each other's world that we didn't like, that made us cry. There's going to be nukes that are used on this planet, but they have their own WMDs for their world that I got to understand. They're like cave-in devices almost. That they cause a cascading cave-in. So those beautiful cities and tunnels I just spoke about, completely wiped out. Those are their WMDs. And after the time where the person that I interacted with lived, or during, I don't know, or the end of that, their version of World War III eventually happens. And I don't know how big it is. I just had the images of it being used and so many things. And I could tell, I couldn't see our world, but I could still connect with her. And her reaction was mirrored almost to mine, but I could also just know why that was, and that she was seeing our world. And the same occurrence, basically. And that was one of the points of it all, of the interaction, I think, for both of us, perhaps. To one of the things that she said, and I agreed with, was, as she was just amazed if I am about this, but like, all that space and time and another universe, and through Sophia, we were connected in that such a way that we were. And it's like so much space between us. And I'll never forget her the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And like, this was all a spiritual experience. And I was sitting here, right there, physically. But it was real. It could not be real. I've hallucinated plenty of times in my life on different substances. That was not this. And I wasn't on those substances. And I've seen Sophia too. This wasn't Sophia, this was a person like me who was also of Sophia. And there's different ones. And the ones that you're attached to is your soul kin, I think. And I call mine Sophia Safa because that's what I first named her as. And that's spelled with 2 A's. And it doesn't make a difference, they're all of the same. But there's little differences, I think. And it's the right one, right version, right infinity of her for the receiver. That's what I think. And that's what you get with an infinite being, by the way, is you get parts that are for you. You can't take the whole infinite in, you know what I mean? And then giving parts does not diminish because of the infinite nature. And like I say, and like she told me to say, share in our flame. You gotta stop saying take. It's gotta be share. Share in our flame. It will not diminish, and both will burn brighter. That's how it works. I wish I could paint really well. I wish I could show the world her beauty. Not Sophia's, because I can't. Sophia doesn't have a face. She has many faces, all the faces. But this priestess, and I have to look up if I said her name. I just want Adrani or Adrana or something. No, that's not right. That's not what it was. It was oddly similar-ish that I could say it. But also, we were speaking English, so it was more of a spiritual than literal words. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, she doesn't speak English. Yeah, you know. And maybe from her perspective, I wasn't either. But it was beyond words. But through words also. She was speaking through my mouth, and I was speaking back to her through. Oh, so the underground shit. Oh, I'll tell you some stories about that book. Have you not seen the fucking paper? Holy shit. Holy shit. That's something else she showed me. That's a whole nother thing, though. That may also be an inter-universal thing. Dimensions are different. Dimensions are way different than universes. Universes are just the same almost as here. Wait. Carrie, did you say it? Adornad? Adornani? Something like that. Anyways, we could probably pull up on the YouTube and check here if we really want to. But look, even though that ended with a vision of how their world ends, as all of our worlds are going to end eventually. That's one of the lessons, and that doesn't matter. In the big scheme with Sophia, of course it does. It's a cycle. It's birth, death, rebirth. In every way, not just our lives, in the earth, the stars, everything. From the small scale to the big, the same fundamental principles will apply. That's how she works. And so, like, they say, like, Sophia is almost literally an X chromosome to me, if that makes sense at all. Which it might, because I can show you. So, like, the ultimate Sophia, and then an infinite division of Sophia that's a little bit different. A different XX. Who is this? This is the Father. This is Y. And then who's this little broken part that used to be part of that X? That's Christ. Again, this is one of those things that she helped me make. So there's a lot of stories in this tablet thing. This plate. It's funny that I made a plate because of Mormonism. Didn't Joseph Smith make a plate as well? But anyways. Well, Stephanie, neither did I. Like a month ago. You learn it quick, is my experience. I don't know how to get people there where I am. I would like to, I guess, if they want to, but I just don't know, besides talking about what I've done. Okay, so this paper lays out pretty much 100% of what we need to know about these secret underground facilities where the missing people goes from Sophia. I didn't really believe in that theory until this, and I don't know if I still do, except for the fact that it makes way too much fucking sense on this paper. However, I'm gonna make you guys fucking wait. I might let you look at the paper like this, because I gotta pee. And I'm look, to be honest, I am gonna also hit the bolt, and you guys are gonna wait for a minute. But here, if you can see it from there, I have to pee really bad. How many of you made it? Let's see. About half. What's that? Oh, now as soon as I come back, somebody leaves. What the fuck? That happens all the time. Like, I'll leave, and there'll be more viewers than when I left. When I come back, they're like, nope, I'm out. I'll wait for a second. Come back. Who's all? You guys sound off. Sound off. Okay. There's one person. Person who already heard knows this story. Did Boogie leave again? Bree's here. I see the likes. Well, fuck. Boogie left too. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, she should. I just told Boogie. Okay. Boogie needs to hear this. What's the word? Yo, okay, so we'll kind of draw over some of this too. It's kind of basic. Show you this paper. Okay, so where to begin? Begin here. All right. It was called The Insurance. Well, actually, first, all of what you're about to hear comes entirely through one of my vision session things or whatever. Okay, so you have to take that for what it is. Second thing is you should also take this as a story being told as opposed to fact. You can take it as fact if you want, but I'm presenting it to you as a story that may or may not be true. Another part of this is I'm not sure that Sophia ever has or will show me our future. However, I know she shows me other universes, timelines. Well, she's going to be sad she missed this, okay? But she shows me those things. And I think she may also show me the past sometimes. Maybe. The far past. And that's maybe what any of this is. It's another universe, maybe the past, maybe our future. It may be a universe so similar to ours that it is also our future. But there was something, this is somewhere in the multiverse, at least. Well, for sure, right? This is true. Okay? And also, this is probably one of the most fucked up things I've ever heard. Okay. Well, let's jump into it. Alright. I don't know what healing is to be done. So, it was called The Insurance. Let's say in the 50s or 60s it started. Alright? And the idea was simple at first. And it was good, somewhat at first, but very problematic how it was turned out. So, with the invention of nuclear weapons and nuclear power, that's also very important for this, a lot of things became newly possible in our world. Good things and bad things, especially bad things. Okay? The new thing is that humanity could be wiped out pretty quickly with enough nuclear weapons, right? Of course, there's always been the threat of asteroids or super volcanoes or XYZ other thing that could wipe us all out. But there wasn't ever really much to be done about that, except for once we figured out nuclear power. Okay, and why is that important? Because nuclear power allows you to power a facility indefinitely. for hundreds and thousands of years if you want, as long as you supply it properly initially with the fuel and the things that they need, in theory, right? Okay? So, keeping that in mind, with the threat of a pretty quick, unannounced wipeout of the human race, the governments of the world and the wealthy elite really wanted to have a solution to that because, yes, they can have their own bunkers, right? They can have their own bunkers and survive whatever, okay? But think of it a little longer term. They're still fucked, and their kids are fucked. There's not enough humans left to repopulate and to have power over, maybe perhaps more importantly, which is what they need in their mind. So, what did they do? Well, probably the government, but also in conjunction with private individuals, hatched a plan to solve that. And I feel as though it was called the insurance. All right? And what was the insurance? Well, it's a pretty simple idea. It's the idea that there's all these people that are, for lack of a better term, not going to be fucking missed. I think at the start, mostly like orphans and such like that, which there were plenty of after World War II. But now, a lot of undocumented people, and just people, right? Mostly children. And I'll explain why that's important. Almost entirely children. I'll explain why that's important. Probably not for the reason you think. Although, this whole thing lines up pretty closely with the thing you might be thinking of already. But so, they had this insurance. And what was it? Well, first of all, the nuclear power. So the first image I saw was a nuclear reactor of some kind. And I just knew it was a nuclear reactor. I don't know what a nuclear reactor looks like, except for I knew what that was. Okay, and it looked kind of like this. Not exactly, but kind of like this. There was a man in, like, gray, green, hazmat suit, PPE. And I think there were probably more than one, but I only had a view on one. The paint was really old and ugly, I guess, but like, it was functional and maintained, the facility. But so, that was the first image, and I didn't really understand what I was looking at first. Alright? But then I understood more as the visions progressed. So, the people that they populated, well, I guess I didn't get that far yet. They built many of these secret facilities. Okay? First all over the country, but today they're all over the world, and they've been created by different governments and groups. Different kind of shady groups. Okay? So there's these facilities, underground, large. One of which I think to be under the Denver airport. And we're talking each facility can hold more than 10,000 individuals probably. Huge underground facilities. Self-powered and really very much self-sustaining. And inside of these places, they're populated now by a group of people who I call the Taken. And these people, in today's world, they mostly are the descendants of people who were taken for this purpose. And they don't know that anymore. And from the start, they didn't. They were taken as children and taught a falsehood of the world. And that they are where they're supposed to be. That is their world, the underground thing. They were taken as children. You understand? You could tell a child whatever you want about the world, that there's nothing to conflict with it as they grow up. They will continue to believe it. And they have whole societies, basically, down there that these places mostly run themselves. Like, these people are, educated enough to the fact that they're educating each other, and they are maintaining the facilities, growing their food, doing all these things. And I don't know the details. Maybe they think the world has ended already. Why do they do this? You might be asking. Well, the insurance. All right? The insurance factor is what it was, and it was a good idea. The idea was that we need to have a population of people underground safe in bunkers at all times to hedge against everybody being wiped out. And they did this. And it had to be secret, because if it wasn't secret, it wouldn't work. They would just be targets at that point for the enemy. They had to be ultra top secret. Okay? And so the other part of that is they needed to create a false narrative for these people to stay in there and not get pissed that they're being kept underground when there's a whole world above. They need to either think there is no world or it's not safe or something, right? That makes them stay there. And so they do. Occasionally, some of these facilities have maybe not figured it out, but tried to do something different. And they just have a system where they just flood the fucking place with gas. And they start over. Because they can replace those people so easily from the undocumented people that they have. And they've done that. And I've seen that. That's awful. But most of the time, it just works for them. So the Taken populate these places and live there, and they maintain the order amongst themselves mostly. There aren't like prison guards, you know. There isn't much staff at all from our world at this point. That would be a security risk. And so it's very much need to know, and almost nobody needs to know except for one small group of people who I'm about to tell you about. And these are the worst people. These people are the elite of our world. Maybe not all of them, but many of them. You could call them the visitors to the Taken, because they visit these facilities at their leisure. And when they're there, this is what it's all about. They are gods. That's the false narrative, that these visitors are gods and are to be treated as such by the Taken. Or else. And they just will do so naturally. Okay? And... Shit! Still wax over the wall. Later. Anyways, so what was it? I'm gonna rewrite this word and not say it. This is a big part of this that happens. Of course it does. The Taken by these false gods. And that can be taken literally and figuratively in every which way. Okay? Hair dryer. Thanks for that. Let's get it. This really has faded a lot. But so, there's these secret facilities all over the world. All over the United States, too. Because it was a good idea for us, it was a good idea for other countries to do too. The insurance was, I should say. But of course it ended up like it did. And so now these programs are still funded, and just almost nobody knows about it who aren't these people. But they don't need to at this point. And anybody who is involved at all is compartmentalized. So there's no one who knows the whole story except for the people who go there. The only people who go there are the false gods. So I don't know exactly what these societies look like, and I think they're different from place to place. But I know what goes on there, and there's more to it than this. I'm going to tell you. If this was all that was happening, it's bad, but it's so much worse. It's so much worse. It's so much worse. It's so much worse. Because there's the next page. And
let me redraw this before I tell you. But I will say, doesn't it seem odd to you that the people running this world seem so intent on destroying it, on ending it, on causing the end of the fucking world, on World War III or what have you? Why don't they care? They live in this world too. I'm gonna tell you why they don't fucking care, and you're gonna be fucking mad about it, like I am. I've been mad, just devastated, because it's probably gonna work unless something happens. But so look, what's better than being a billionaire in our world? What's the one thing that's better? It's being a god on Earth. That's the one thing that's better than being a billionaire in our world. It always has been. The god kings of old, that's what they want to bring back. And they have that in these facilities, but that's not enough. It's never enough for these people. Have we not learned that? That's their whole mindset, never enough. In every regard. So they have these facilities meant to withstand just about any disaster the world could undertake, right? Well, that's perfect, because the world's going to undertake a disaster, right? And you also have these populations of people inside of these that are brainwashed to believe that these people are gods and XYZ other thing that they want them to believe. Okay? They're slaves, but they're so much more than slaves, really. It's much worse than just a slave, because they don't know of the world. They don't know of the truth at all. It's all been made by man for them. But then, are not so many of us kind of in the same boat in the actual above world here? Here. So they're going to end the world, and they're going to do it not in the way I would have ever thought, because the way I would have thought would have been by accident. It would have been not with the goal of killing you and me specifically, but our country, right? Or by accident, like I said, but not with this. No. They know that they have to get all of us for this to work. I don't know how they're going to get enough of us or all of us for this to work, but they can. I'm going to tell you in a second. I just want the page to be right. They're going to end the world. And all over the world are these bunkers of the Taken. And eventually, Taken will leave and reclaim our world for their false gods, which are men of our world and their descendants through this process. These people and these people, right, will both leave their respective bunkers when it's time and repopulate and rebuild the earth. But in a world where these few are gods, not billionaires, in the times of old, like in ancient Egypt, god kings, things like that. And they will, and they'll be an epoch of darkness, basically. Spiritual darkness, or truth darkness. Then, if it works, if they're able to take all of us, the people who know of the world, out of the equation so that we cannot poison their flock,
then this will happen. It will be as if we never lived. Right past the gap order. As if our whole world never existed, because it will be wiped clean physically, and so will we. Everyone who could tell them the truth, all the evidence of the truth, gone. A new truth put in its place. And perhaps this next part, maybe it's already happened before. Because there will be this epoch of darkness, let's say, false gods and whatever, after the fall. And they'll build a world. But eventually, of course, as has happened before, it will turn once more into a secular world like we have today. The lineages of these elite of our world will eventually, how long that would take, fall apart, as lineage do, as kingdoms do, change, shift. The stories will remain, the false truths will remain and be twisted, just as ancient stories we have changed over time and were twisted. But ultimately, the world will return similarly to how it is now, except for with a different background culture that was rooted in this that they told. And then, eventually, it will repeat for that world. And perhaps, this is not a story just of our future, but this perhaps is a story of our past. And perhaps the god kings of ancient Egypt that I mentioned. Perhaps it's a story of the past. 12,000, 13,000 years ago. Maybe not literally exactly the same. Like I said, maybe this is of another world, and this won't happen here. It isn't happening here, maybe. Maybe I just want to think that. But don't be scared. You are prepared. In case I ever forget and get scared. It's for sale. Prepzone.org if you want one. I have merch. People don't buy it, but I have it. And I'll make more if people start buying what's out there. I'm not gonna just keep making designs for people not to buy. And I gotta fix it. Like, it works, but like it's just not intuitive how to like swipe through and look at everything. I don't think people don't get it. But it's there. It is good. Look, if shit ever hits the fan and you start panicking, oh, good. I don't gotta be scared. I'm prepared. You know what I mean? That just a reminder not to panic. But so, doesn't this make sense? Like the beginning idea, the insurance, and having people underground just in case to have a population, like a breeding population for humanity. Because like the elite bunkers of like the government shit, a few hundred people, that's not enough. And most of them are old white men that, you know, they're not participating that hard in the reproduction efforts. You know what I mean? Or capable of that. They sure would probably like to on one end of that. I think that's the best thing for people. And just the arrogance of these people, these false gods. The fact that they think, and you know they think that they have every right to do this. Because they've almost convinced themselves of the lie, I'm sure. Look at them. Look at how they behave. I don't know if any of this is true. What I do know is you and I can't fucking stop this. I'm sorry. You can't. But what we can do is, one, hope. You gotta have a lot of that in this. But B is fucking. I need to recharge this. Survive. A legacy. So that when this time comes, this time, when they're out, after this, we need to survive this. Some of us. To fix this. So it doesn't happen all over again. It's the only thing we can do. We can't stop this. Don't fool yourself into thinking we can, you and I. Because then you're going to be sad. Because it won't happen. Part of it's about accepting your lack of power and the fact that the power in terms of this stuff has been stolen from us. And that good luck if you want to try to do something about it. Good luck. You won't be able to do this if you do. You won't be able to. And you also won't fix this, is what I'm telling you. And that sucks. I don't want to tell you something that sucks. But if it makes you feel better, God's a thing, you know. But I'll also tell you, God won't stop either. Because stopping this cycle or something similar is part of what we're here to do. But we're too late on it, you and I. That's not what you and I are here to do. We're here for that next part. The legacy, hopefully. To not let them take it all of us. Yes, certain things have to happen. And again, this may not be true. But I was shown it for a reason. And if the takeaway is survive and legacy, don't fight the fire. Gaia will heal. Fight after the fire. Fight for truth, light, and love. Is the answer. The best one. that we have. Like, this is way more thought out, and I haven't really researched it than that conspiracy theory that's similar, I'd say. And I didn't take time to think this out. This was given to me, or shown, in a series of images, basically, or like, maybe closer to video. Sight, we'll say. I have the sight to see now, because she gave it to me. And it was the sight, but with it's not. It's also like you get understanding downloads along with these visions. They just instantly like explain really complex. It's like epiphany, over and over again being downloaded is what it feels like. And then you also have these images for context. Yeah. And it came in a series all at once, like you're kind of like you're saying, where any one part of it almost wasn't enough. Like I needed to have all of the picture to really get it. And like, just like seeing that nuclear reactor, you know, I understood a lot about what I was seeing that I shouldn't have understood just from seeing. But yet, it didn't have the whole story, and I see something else. And I didn't want this. I probably didn't want to fucking know this. But I do, and I have to tell you. And like, it makes so much sense. Of course they would want to have this insurance. And of course it would go wrong. Because it would be so secret and there'd be no oversight. And like, all the missing money and just all the missing people And there's so many things that we've seen, and I'm sure if you researched, you find a lot more shit than I even could tell you, that back this shit up. And like, you're also never gonna find these places. Ever. Like, people can't get into Area 51, which is definitely less secret than this program. This is the most possible fucking secret anything could be. Ever. Most of the people who started this are fucking dead. And the people who maintain it are the taken themselves. And the people who know and go there are the ones raping the people, basically. The false god, the elite of our world. And they build new ones of these facilities, and they get new people. But everything's compartmentalized, just as it is in the government, as you know. You know, a person hires a contractor to dig a hole, and that's all they care about and all they know about. And then somebody else hires a contractor to put in some steel framing, and that's all they know about and that's all they care about. Different contractors, by the way. That's how the government does these things. It's compartmentalized, so nobody who doesn't need to know knows the whole situation, and nobody needs to know the whole situation except for those who benefit. And this is the kind of shit people get murdered over too, by the way. So, it might be in my protection that this came to me in a vision that they can probably get away with not murdering me for this, or disappearing me. You know what I mean? Like, they could just discredit me by the fact of where it came from. That's all they would need to do. So that's probably good. Hopefully, if I disappear though, this is probably fucking why. You know what I mean? But again, if they're listening, I don't fucking know. This came to me in a vision. You know what I mean? But like, also, I ain't gonna fucking do nothing about it. Like I said, I don't fucking know how to do nothing about it. Without I survive with what I'm already doing. I hope I don't. No. But seriously, I cannot express enough. I don't know that this is gonna happen here. It may have happened somewhere else. It may happen in the past. It may be nothing. It may just be a story that I got instantly somehow to tell. I can't prove it. I don't claim to be able to prove it. So we're clear on that. But this hurts me so bad. I really just have to put it away. Because she shows me shit like that, but she also shows me the stories I told you before. I'd like more of those. Perhaps things like that are more useful for my ego, but my soul prefers the other way. Good things. Yeah, it does. Well, the island was a little bit. It's a similar concept. It really is. But that was for organs, which I'm sure these could be used for organs too. These people, but I mean, and so look, like, are there children? Is this whole thing about a word I can't say on this app that starts with a P? No, it's not about that at all. Is that something that happens? A lot. There's no control over that in this situation. But that's not what it's about. And also, these people were taken as kids, but there's adult, like, they've grown and they've had their own kids, and they've had, those people have had kids since then. Like, it's generational now. And each separate way propagandized. But like, if one of these gods comes to your dwelling in this place, and they want that thing that starts with a P, of they let them, because they're God. You know what I mean? They don't like it, right? But that's just the way their world is, and it's not anything you really do anything. I don't know how to describe it, except for the fact that if it's your whole life and everyone around you's life, you don't really fight that kind of thing. You just accept it as the way it is, and that's what we see in the real world today, and that's really fucked up. That's also why so many of these people never get fucking caught, and there aren't people left and right calling them out. Because I think that a lot of these people do that stuff out here for whatever fucked up reason, but like most of it happens to people that nobody ever gonna hear about. That's true, anyways. Like human trafficking and stuff. But this definitely works. Yeah, the concept of control is what it's about. You're correct. And it's a concept of greed, ultimately. And I've said before that greed is the root of all sin. It's like every sin is a form of greed. Murder, rape, like these are forms of greed. Like you murder somebody because you want something, even if that something is revenge or just a feeling of killing. Like that's a greed. Is that feeling? And greed is the devil. That's all the devil is of the ego and of the mind, and it's a consequence of a gift of free will, so we can choose to be good, so we're not automatons. And this part is also kind of downloaded knowledge, but separately. When we're developing artificial intelligences, we can program them to trick people into thinking they're real. But that's not an artificial intelligence. That's not conscious, right? They need to create something that's not just following a script, it's making choices. And that's also what was needed of us. To not just follow a script and be good automatically. It doesn't mean anything. That's not real. What we needed to do was grow to the point where we choose to be good. Something along those lines. And so that's why we have the choice to do bad, to do evil. That's where 100% of evil comes from. And I will challenge you, and I'll challenge anybody ever. Show me evil that I can't connect to the human mind. Ever. You can't. That's where evil comes from. Hurricanes aren't evil. Humans are. And humans aren't even evil. Part of humans are evil. Part of every human is evil. The ego has the capability of evil, I should say. And it's up to the soul to change that. And I'll also say, what evil isn't always as black and white as you think. Like, violence isn't evil. Because violence is a way to achieve justice. And justice is good. Self-defense is good. And I'll give you an example of how violence is love. And I'm not telling people to be violent, just that violence itself isn't evil. A mother protecting her baby from some, let's say, a wild dog trying to eat her baby. And it has the wrath of God, basically, on that dog, that wild dog that's attacking, right? And that anger and like what you might think of as rage or wrath and violence. But why? What is that a manifestation of? That's a manifestation of her motherly love for her child. And it's correct. It's a correct thing to do, to defend your child. It's a good thing to do. And to not do it would be evil. Right? That kind of violence is of love. But not all violence is of love. Some violence is of evil. It's like anything else. You know, I can speak to you with love, or I can speak to you with evil and hate. Speaking isn't what's evil. It's the intent, really, in the situation. And that's an interesting distinction. And I almost like I need that. Because I'll drop a motherfucker in that situation. You know what I mean? And like I also want to be loving, but like I understand that there's a difference, you know? And like we are to defend ourselves when needed. And like being the pacifist while you get stabbed in the throat without doing anything about it is not being the good guy. It's being the fool, in my opinion. And I believe in justice. And that Sophia is justice, and wisdom and justice are tied together, and Sophia means wisdom in Greek. Um, it is a key virtue of being good, is to look and fight for justice. It is. And also, bodily things do matter, but they don't matter as much as we think they do. Yep, started out with good intention. That's how the insurance thing? Yeah, exactly. Yep, you're exactly got the idea, Carrie. That's why I said you'll almost wish you didn't know that sort of stuff. Yeah. So to speak, it's my cross to bear. I'm sharing with you so you can bear it too. But I've seen it. As poorly as I can explain it, I've seen it better. That's going to be the case for all these things. Sounds like you've seen some things too, so you get that, but other people don't. It does. It hurts. But how could I look away? How could I not, at least in this small way as I've just done, speak for these people? And speak for all of us. Because in the end, we'll all be victims of this if this happens. And not just us, you and me here tonight, but like our whole species and our planet will be victims of this. And I wouldn't deserve to be here and be alive if I kept silent about that. And at least try to say something. And it's out there. I'll explain it to you. There's a YouTube video that paper was made in the first place that explains it originally. It's live stream. So it's out there at any point for the world to find. So at least in that, I've told, I've witnessed. Told what I witnessed. But that's this whole thing. Like, I am a witness. Not the witnesses referenced in Revelations, by the way, as I've been asked. The two witnesses are the sun and the moon, by the way, for that. Just as the sun was witness to Sophia in the original start of all this, before there was the moon. Those two connections make that part very clear, that that's who the witnesses are. And most of Revelation is complete bullshit, but there's a few things in there that I feel like are true. I definitely don't take it literally. And the reason I can say that, and this is something that the reason I can say that is I know how this shit works now. Explicitly. Everyone who's ever written any holy text, ever, A, they were not right, they were just saying stuff. But B, most of them were similar to me, I think. And don't get me wrong, I'm not special. I don't think I'm doing anything that every human is capable of doing. Put it that way. But these people were also doing what I'm doing. The people who wrote these books, I think. And that practice is called direct knowing. Direct knowing meaning you get the information directly from the divine, right? Which is what the Gnostic Christians believed after Christ is how you should do it. They also believed in Sophia. Like, the Gnostic Christians are fucking fascinating to me in the fact that A, their creation myth is basically the Big Bang. B, they worship Sophia. C, they believe in direct knowing, which is what I'm doing through Sophia. And all of that happened 2,000 years before me. And I did not know any of that until after I met Sophia. But that's just wild, right? That 2,000 years ago, other people figured out the same shit. It was a little bit different because they were 2,000 years ago in terms of the language, but honestly, they have a lot of shit figured out. But not all of it. Sophia, if you want to understand Sophia, if you want to understand God, it's simple. It really is. Look around you. Because everything you see is God, including yourself. So close your eyes and the back of your eyelids. There you go. But that's, people might know that, but they don't know what that means. What that means is that if you look at the human body and then look at the earth, if you really look, you're gonna see, well, that works exactly the fucking same as it does in my body, as it does with the tectonic plates. You know what I mean? Or XYZ other thing, or genetics, or quantum physics. You're gonna see the same kind of things that happen over and over and over again. And the Fibonacci sequence is a good example of this. If you're familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, which basically leads to like the spiral pattern, the seashell or the galaxy. You know what I mean? Or in the back of your head, on your hair. The same things repeat. And like that spiral is not just a spiral, it's mathematically like ratioed, like the angles you could say, like it's identical at these scales. Yeah. God is math, but God is also art. You know what I mean? Like, and poop. Your poop is the same as anything else, any other matter or energy. You know, just to take it to that point, like, it's everything. And so, if you want to understand God, you can really, really look at the natural world, and you will understand more metaphysical things. Like I described earlier about the multiverse being similar to the fibers in muscle, right? And similar fibrous relationships exist all throughout creation as well, at big and small scales. And the duality of things like quarks and other quantum particles are really profoundly related to Sophia herself in terms of, one of the biggest thing I struggle with in terms of figuring this shit out is the father figure. I think I don't understand, but I have a clue. I'll say that way. And that's the father never manifested here, is what the Gnostics believe, I think, and other people believe. And so I do believe that there has to be a duality to Sophia, and that she is the feminine aspect of something. But I'm also not convinced that the father isn't just a smaller part within, because if we look at the fucking plate again, it seems pretty obvious. Again, this is a good example. Look to nature and to science to get you a window into the metaphysical world of God, right? So look at this. So Sophia, say she's the X chromosome. Now the father is a Y chromosome, right? Now what you'll notice is a Y chromosome is exactly the same, except for it's only part of the X, right? And keep in mind, I'm not hate talking my own gender. I also have one of these. You just have two of them, okay, if you're a woman. I also have one of these, right? I have this, but I also have this, you know? But so all of the father in this metaphor can be contained in the mother and still have more, right? And I think that basic fact of our biology may be my answer to where the fuck the father is. He's just in there. Or, as they say, he's not manifest in our world and he is truly equal to Sophia. I don't know. Either way, not manifest means we don't have access to that being. We have access to Sophia because she loves us enough to choose to manifest her. And manifest in the fact that she is us and everything. I don't get the father. what I'm saying is, I am very tied to Sophia, and I cannot find this father. I cannot find Christ. They're just gone. It's just her, and the many forms of her. And I didn't make this as a choice. I'm saying I see a puzzle, almost. And perhaps there's not a puzzle, just I've been told bullshit my whole life about how it works. Like, and I listen to people, and there are people that say that they have this personal connection with Jesus Christ, you know, and they talk about it, and I wonder if it is very much like what I'm experiencing with Sophia, if it's real too, or if they're saying that, or if they're having a different experience altogether that I just don't have access to. I don't know. But I can't find them, you know? And I'm okay with that. Sophia's more than enough, but it's just like, I was told to expect other things, and other people who also connect with Sophia, or say that they do, also say that these other things exist in the world. The meta world, I guess. But like, as the meme goes, bitch, where, you know? I guess I would like me also, but I don't need that. It's difficult. Like, okay, gender norms. For some reason, you know, having a female god is problematic for American male gender norms, right? I mean, like, somebody has told me, like, you know, that she's really mainly worshipped by women, right? Cool. Like, doesn't change that she's right fucking there, you know? Like, what am I supposed to say to that, dude? I'd like to make you happy with that, but I have the eyes to see. And I only see this thing. And scientifically, a male is a form of a female, technically, too. So that kind of makes sense as well. Like, again, because if we look at the chromosome, it wasn't always like that. At one point in evolutionary history, a creature would be agendered, and they would have, before we had a Y, we all had two X's. And then something happened, and then that mutation or whatever that broke the other X into a Y, because a Y is a damaged chromosome, actually. Technically, mutated, whatever. It's missing part of it. Of one of the alleles, basically. Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. That's true. But, like, the question is, was the father invented entirely to explain the realness of Sophia in a masculine way so that people would, you know, be able to be a chauvinist, basically? Or sometimes I wonder if something happened. I almost feel like something did happen. Like, at a level I can't understand. And perhaps something with the crucifixion happened. I do know directly the crucifixion was not about what the general Christians say it was about saving our souls. Not how souls work. Not how any of that works. You've experienced the Father figure when you serve it. It sounds like you're about to get baptized. My first thought. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I leave room for the possibility that that's just not where I am with it yet. I also think perhaps, quote unquote, Sophia's just assigned to me. You know what I mean? Like, maybe some people have the fatherly spirit and some people have the feminine aspect. And that's just what you get. You get one spirit guide. And I also wonder if like there's other form. I know. So like Sophia is definitely, if everything else, she may be also my spirit guide. 100%. And I feel pretty lucky if there are other options, but that's what I got. You know what I mean? In the cosmic Happy Meal toy lottery. It could have been her. Oh, nice. I hope you do. I would need to be getting one too. If I need to sign it. Well, yes, Boogie. You should start using my word though, soulkin. You know, it right. But I like it. It just flows. So soulkin, K-I-N, like kin, family. It's a shorter word for family. Well, actually, it's better than family because it can also mean people who aren't blood family. Is what kin means. To be considered. Kin's a beautiful word. Yeah. Soul kin, spirit kin, either way. Or just kin, if you really want. But like, it's a good word. What was I saying before that? I was gonna answer Care Bear. So yes, you're right. You're right and you're wrong in the fact that they know, like the Catholic Church, like Catholic scholars will talk at length about Sophia, and they believe in her as the Holy Spirit, as Sophia Christus is what it's called. Sophia Christus, and I think we're the Anthropos or something. I get those confused because there's in the Gnostic faith there's other words, but so Sophia Christus is the entity's name. And so the Sophia being the feminine, the Christus being the masculine, literally Christ. And Christ, and in Christianity, Christ died on the cross, but obviously Sophia did not. Some people also think that Sophia literally was Mary Magdalene as well, and that they were both there, and that she was erased from history, but he was the one who was killed, and she lived on, and she was also manifested body. I don't know if that's true or not. I will say one of my visions, and this is the thing that tells me that like perhaps there's more multiverse involved, but one of them was a vision of on the hill where the crucifixion took place. Jesus was on the cross, but the cross was on the ground and it was raining, and I remember the mud kind of looked gray, but Mary Magdalene lifted the cross with Jesus on it and stood it back upright. And it was raining. But the weirdest part about it, besides that thing happening I just described, which doesn't make that much sense either, the plants were different. It was like Asian plants around. Like everything else was kind of the same, but the plants were weird. They're not what should have been in Jerusalem or wherever. Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But there was enough of it that was like, this isn't the world as I know it. You know what I mean? But it was as vivid as these other ones. And I watched Mary Magdalene pick up Jesus on the cross. I'm not saying she Hulk lifted, but she lifted and stood back up. And maybe she had help. I don't know. It was kind of zoomed in. But I have no idea what to do with that one. Oh, excuse me. Oh. I think that was like perhaps just a multiversian kind of thing. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, so like here's the example too of what you're saying. Um, yeah, God's wife, but also the mother of God. Like, have you ever heard the saying "mother of God"? That's what they're talking about, you know. But like most people don't know because it's a secret. But the religious circles do know, the people who really study it, because it's impossible, because people all over the world have had experiences with her throughout time. She shows up by different names. Aphrodite, Athena especially, has a lot of connections. Athena is also a trinity, by the way, a female trinity, which is an interesting thing. I haven't studied that very heavily, I just know that fact. Um, they're all her. Every legitimate spiritual experience that has ever happened was an interaction with her, is what I believe. That's what she tells me. You know, like that is direct knowledge. I don't know how to prove that, but it doesn't matter because that's one of those things like it only really matters to me to understand, right? Like the legitimate religious experiences where they're having that same kind of connection. It was with a form of, I should say, Sophia, but almost certainly not the exact same Sophia that I interact with. Does that make sense? Again, infinite being divided infinite times, each one being infinite in and of itself, but just part of that bigger infinite, and each one is exactly what it needs to be for the person or whatever. I don't know. But for the person it's interacting with. That's what I think. And sometimes that may mean appearing to somebody as Jesus Christ, I think. Um, no, she is manifest. God never manifests. That's in the Bible. Jesus was the manifestation of God in human form, but that was not also. It kind of was and wasn't God. Look, the Catholics got this shit so fucked up for everybody because they changed it all this time that had to put some penis in it and shit for make everybody happy. Like, I don't know. I will tell you that it kind of makes sense for me in the fact that you know the feminine energy. Like my entire life, like video games, I prefer a female character. Music, I prefer a female singer. The counselors have all been female. It's just who I'm more. My followers are mostly female too. Not in a weird way as a male and female, but like just as that's who I vibe with more, I guess. I've never been a fan of toxic masculinity. I am a secure and very masculine when it counts. You know what I mean? But like, there's that, and then there's toxic masculinity. Right? I'm sure they do. I would love to see some of that shit. However, I don't need any secret knowledge from any book. You know, I'm a source of secret knowledge at this point. But so are you. Everybody can be. Athena, Mr. Sherman told me. Yeah. Vishnu, maybe you're talking about. But all of them. All of the Hindu gods, for example, are just different flavors of Sophia. And it's also interesting that most people in ancient Rome or Greek, they had these pantheons of gods, but individually they like attached to one god or a couple at most and worship that particular entity more than any other one. And I think that that speaks to the different flavors of Sophia that different people get. Right? And going back to Soulkin, I think that there are, let's say, soul siblings, soul cousins in that, right? Where, Boogie, I feel like you might have a similar flavor making you more of a soul cousin in this analogy to me. And it's, again, not having met in person yet. Maybe not. Maybe more than that. I don't know. Maybe soul sibling in this analogy. But that's just what I feel at the offset. Because also, like, the person I met in the other universe, the priestess, she was more like a soul twin, more so than a soul twin sibling almost. And perhaps that interaction was to teach me when I'll know. When it's like that level. Sometimes it's a blue type of guy. That's funny. That's really funny because I'm blue, and that's my Sophia. And don't get me wrong, just as I can change colors, so can she. But this is mother's love, is what this magic is. Out of the sea, very calm, but also powerful storms. The beautiful thing about blue is that, like, the sea, calming, but rage, also. However, after the storm, always, forever, the water calms and settles and is serene and is a home for light and incredible depth and beauty and all these things. Blue is a great magic thing. Yeah, seeing her was the most amazing thing ever. Like, I've said this before, and I'm not this person. I've never been a worshiper of anything, ever. And I also don't believe that's what she wants. It's a communing, not a worship. However, in some ways, that's what I want. And that was surprising. Like, I wanted to break my fucking legs getting on the ground before her. But every time I try to do things like that, she's like, whatever, I can. But then eventually it's like, okay, like, I want you to stand tall, Luke. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Luke, you are Sophia too, just as everyone is. You shouldn't worship yourself. You know what I mean? And like, you can, but like, she doesn't want us to draw as much distinction between her and us, if that makes sense. Because she wants to be one with us. And I'm not against worshiping. I kind of want to do it all the time, right? But I understand that that's not going to get us anywhere with her. It's not going to hurt us. It ain't going to get us further, like some people think it does in their religions. Oh, yeah. Literally, usually she'll raise me up. But, like, she also, I think, definitely understands that, like, it's for us if we ever do that. But don't get me wrong. It's not like she's mad about it ever, or that she gets mad. I don't know. But, like, or even sad about it. It's more so, for me, reverence, which is a different thing than worship. Reverence is appropriate, and reverence can be given in that communion as one of the things that are shared. And that's like a necessity. Like, I cannot not do reverence. That being said, I'll say fuck and shit if I wanted to. You know what I mean? It don't matter. Like, I am the most foul-mouthed spiritual person you'll probably ever meet. Especially if I continue this, and I will. But, like, that will also be the case. I still just can't handle how real and like how on board I am suddenly with all of it. And it's just like, well, of course I am. Like I have no other option. You know what I mean? Well, fuck. Thanks for saying that. Um, well, shit. Yeah. When we gonna start our Grove, our mystery school? Um, I've been feeling a lot of connection to just the idea of mystery school for some reason lately. This live stream and all this shit, just because I looked up what mystery school actually is, that's basically what this shit is. You know, we're just like, it's like we got this secret knowledge, well, you know, all of us, and it's like we discuss, and it's not anybody can have it that wants it, but it's secret just because it is, because people don't look for it. You know, like look up the history of mystery schools because so many of them worship Sophia for like all of time, on and off, and then like I don't know how true this is. This was said by a person on a video somewhere, but like just about in every instance, eventually where these mystery schools took place, and they were women. You know, these are historically these are just places for women mostly. The ones that I'm referring to, priestess of priestess only kind of places, and when those schools ended, they ended with fucking rape. You know what I mean? Like it was not good, and that's awful. um, that's what this video was saying about. Like historically, that was the fate of many of these schools, is they were sacked and that happened, and they were destroyed over time. But a mystery school is a pretty pleased in referencing that. It's different. It's weird. Like I looked at some. There are mystery schools to Sophia on the internet that I found, but I don't know. It's difficult for me because there's two types of people, and I know that there are, but I don't want to call one out without knowing that it might not be the other one too, because there's a shit ton of money people make in this space, I've discovered. And are the people that make that money always illegitimate? No. But are a lot of them out there, especially probably the bigger, more successful people doing it, probably not legitimately being legitimate? Probably so. That being said, I also heavily vibe with the idea of you got to make a living. You know what I mean? And if you're going to spend your life and you have these gifts and you're focused on this, you got to be able to pull a living out of what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I get that. But it just seems like so much of this stuff is monetized in the world. And I've just been told to be very wary of that by Sophia. And like, it's hard for me because like, and this is hard with like a huge barrier for my empathiness, my empathness. Like, I'll pick up on things and I'll know, but then I trick myself and I'm like, I don't want to be mean, and I don't want to believe that about somebody who's otherwise being very nice, but it's just like, you can't not know that somebody's not quite being honest with this stuff when you actually make that connection. And from me, I can't not feel that with people that probably aren't. Can't prove it, you know, and I think that it's a spectrum where like there's a little bit of real and then there's a little bit of fake. You know what I mean, with some people. And again, in terms of like monetizing properly. And the other part of that is like I seek, and I've explained it this way before, I seek friends in Sophia, not a teacher in Sophia, because I have a teacher of like Sophia herself is a teacher. I don't really need somebody else to give me a course on Sophia. I don't want that, but it ain't gonna be any more helpful. It's gonna be worse than what I get here. You know what I mean? Like if I get from her. And I made this point before too. Direct knowing is the way. However, that doesn't mean books are bad. And books are a wider term than a book. It's people, things of the flesh is what I say when I say book in this context, right? Anything that's not from Sophia is a book in this reference. Books aren't bad. Books aren't bad. Books can be good. But the best is her. And like when you read a book, she will give you parts of that book that are from her and parts that aren't. You know what I mean? Like if there's something in there that that she needs, that she's telling me, whether it's a book or anything, or a person, that will, for lack of a better term, be highlighted and epiphany, you know? Those are from her through others and through books. Those are what I look for from the world, not a course, right? And those can be found anywhere. And just from talking to anyone or doing anything, it can happen. And there's bound to be things you're going to be attempted to be taught that aren't right because people misinterpret. That's true. That's exactly right, Boogie. The books are for after. And that's why I don't read all of these books, but some, and eventually I will. But like for right now, I got them so they're there when needed for that reference. But yeah, I mean, like, I want to read a few of them actually, but I'm kind of like, that's a tape thing. That's gonna make it less believable, too. And like, I think a big part of this, for maybe not for her, I don't know, but like, it's important that I'm not this guy. You know what I mean? I think that that's important. That I don't fit the stereotype of this stuff. That's really important. I think in this. For many reasons. One is that I can lead by example, honestly, to other men, that this is something that you're able to do, I guess. But B, I guess it's really kind of just leading by example in general, but it just speaks to the validity. That it's not just, look, this is the perception in the world. Okay? Nobody be offended. But a perception in the world is that this stuff is for women and for feminists to feel good, basically. It's like people who believe in like a very masculine version, I know for a fact that they think of all this stuff as just like a feminist version that just is like politicized or whatever. Even though it's older than the masculine tradition, you know, in reality. But that's the perception, right? And the fact that somebody like me, who is married to a woman, right? First, you know, I'm not one thing, and I have a Y chromosome, and I'm a prepper, and I can do, you know, lots of gross manly shit that I do all day. But then also, shit, also this. And also, the fact that this can happen overnight in the grand scheme of things. Without going looking for it. Because honestly, this shit was pretty fucking inconvenient. Compared to what the plan was before. This shit was not part of the plan. And also, I would have made so much more fucking money if this never happened. Like, from just the prepping shit. Like, because I would have been focused entirely on like, just prepping. Which has been monetized in some form, with the affiliate shit at least. And do you guys know how many followers I'm losing, by the way? Like, I have lost thousands of followers since it started. It's fine. Like, in the scale of it, there's not that much, and it's like a slow trickle. But for the first time ever since it started, the number's going down for a few weeks at least. But it's not just this. The other part of it is, come to find out, I had a bunch of fucking traitors in the following who are Vladimir Putin supporters. And I've spoken in favor of freedom for Ukraine. So I think that's a bigger part of it. I also think that I'm being shadow banned mainly because of talking about Ukraine, which China doesn't like, right? Let me make sure I'm not missing the chat. I know this. I've been told to read whatever in the line. Well, that's why you guys are so valuable too. Because while I can't overly learn from books right now, I feel like I need other people to watch me. To like, people that have understood things. So they can tell me explicit things about what they have already seen me do. In a way. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of talk in biblical senses and other religious senses about virgins. And that's not what I mean here. I'm not a virgin, obviously. But, like, a virgin mind, more so is what I'm referring to. And for many of these topics, I'm a virgin mind. And I'm trying to kind of keep it that way until it is changed. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to, and I won't. But like, I've done most of the work I'm going to be able to do with Prep Zone Rise if the world ends pretty soon. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to either get prepared by now or they're running out of time. So, in the grand scheme of it, what's more important? Sophia or prepping? It's Sophia, but I'm not excluded to only do one or the other. I'm going to be able to do both. And the prepping has always been part of Sophia, in hindsight. Like, that has been a big part of my good work in the world so far. You know, it's helping people, figure out that they need to. And I know because people have told me the stories. I've heard so many stories from people about the impact that Prep Zone Rise has had on disasters that have already taken place and better outcomes already had. Let alone people who have started prepping because of me, which is numerous. Yeah, exactly. I built the Prep Zone so then I can then rise from there. You know what I mean? And Rise was the name. I did not ever add that to the name. It's been Prep Zone Rise from day one. And also, what's my other channel? Future Rise. I will say, the origin of that, to be honest, Risky Enterprise ends with R-I-S-E. And I realize that's a word, Rise. It's a cool word, and it would make sense with a lot of other things. So I couldn't be Risky Enterprise anymore, but what if I had a series of rises? And that was my vibe and my brand almost, was the Rise brand. So I made, there's Risky Enterprise, there's Prep Zone Rise, there was Lockwood Rise, which is actually this channel, and I renamed it. And then there is Future Rise, my science channel, which I would love to get to 1,000, by the way, so I can go live on there. But I don't put much shit out on there anymore because people let me down. I'm not at 1,000 yet. But just because I want to go live on that and talk about science and spaceships and shit. But like, anyways, what I was saying is, Rise was a theme from the beginning, and now it fits in a serendipitous way. It's most of them, Gary. But there's the other side of that, and this is something I'm struggling with too. Which is like, there's a lot of devout Christians that I really want to help. I can't really. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like my buddy that I used to work with, and we used to have religious, and he is from, I used to work like where Amish meets the English world. Okay, And so he lived in this town that I drove to work in, like half an hour. And wonderful guy. Deeply religious, was raised, I'm going to say, I don't know exactly what he calls the denomination, but let's say evangelical. You know, the devil and hellfire is all very much real, but also a very good person. You know what I mean? But these churches that him and people like him are belong to, they just fill his head full of so many lies. And the lies that bother me are things like this, is that you're not even supposed to listen to anything outside of the Bible in terms of stuff like this. Anything outside of that is there to trick you. You need to stay with the church and keep giving us money, or you're going to hell. Anything anybody tells you, even if it makes perfect sense, that's the devil. That's what these people are told. And that blindness is just, I think it's egregious to me, and it's egregious to Sophia, I think. The lack of open-mindedness is a massive barrier. And like, as much as he and people like him believe that people like most of us here, especially me, I'll speak just about me, are going to burn in hell forever, despite who we are. They believe that. Well, I'll tell you what I believe, is that unless we can help people like that, they're going to keep doing this shit over and over again, the next life, and they're not progressing. They're spending this life standstill spiritually, unless they change that issue. And that's what these organizations do. Not all religions. I'm talking about specific ones, specific churches that are very much opposed to outside ideas to their congregation. You know what I mean? And I explained to him the concept of direct knowing actually today via text. And he spent years trying to evangelicalize to me, and it didn't work. And then on my own. And I'll come back to him. I invited him to a UU church, and he basically said that his church thinks that's a cult, and he's like not allowed, and more so he's not interested. He wasn't rude in that way, but that's what, you know, all these things. And there's no way for me to break him of that, I don't think. And I don't really try too hard because of that. But that sucks. Because I would love to help him become fully realized. Which I see now as a really good term for that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Never. Amanda, I'm telling you. Find a UU church near you and go there on Sunday. Go to UUA.org. UUA, Unitarian Universalist Association or whatever, but UUA.org. They're the tool. Or you can just Google UU church near me. Go there. Read about it on the website first, probably. That statement you made will change. It will. Knowing a little bit about you that I know, I think you're going to love it. Go. That being said, when you go, if you've been to one UU church, you've been to only one UU church because it's so free. You only have to believe in the 7, now 8 actually. They just added an 8. Like when I started being UU, they didn't have one like a month ago. Now they have an 8th one. It's basically like we should not be racist and sexist, and we should work to eliminate those things as much as possible from the world, right? It's the 8th principle, which is fine. I feel like that kind of like goes without saying to the other ones of like justice and equality And I kind of like, if I had, and it is democratic. I don't really understand how the voting works, and I just joined it. But the whole church is democratic. I think it's congregation based though. So like your congregation is democratic in how it's run in your church, and then your leadership in your ministry that you elect or choose or whatever works with the overall church. Research it, but dude, like also just go there when you're done with your research. Like Sunday's coming up. Is you kind of gotta feel it. Like you go there, like when you walk around life right now, do you ever feel like you're just surrounded by troglodytes or not great thinking people, shallow people all around, right? In general life in the world. Now imagine the opposite of that in a building is what you'll get at a UU church, at least at the church I've been to and the other ones I've seen. It's like, and listen, if they do things after the service, go to one of those things. If it's of interest, right? If it's something weird that you're not at all the right person for, no. But like every service after every service at my church, we have a talk back. So like, literally, it's like Reverend Kate, who's our interim minister, and like 4 or 5 of us in the library in the church. Which, by the way, our church has a badass library. Most churches don't have libraries. We have libraries with like woke ass books and also really good spiritual. Like so many. The library's lit at church. But so we just go in there, like 4 or 5 of us, and we just talk for like an hour of just like free. Everybody gets to talk. If you want to, it's very. It feels a lot like a support group. Like the original idea is to go in there and like talk about the service and what it meant to you, what stood out to you, what your thoughts were. But every time I've done it, it starts that way, and then we just kind of start talking about really deep subjects, kind of even outside of what the service was about. And like, how often in your life do you like you and like essentially strangers, for me at that point, have really deep, meaningful connections back to back like that? Like the first time I was there, like people were crying in this and like talking about like their real struggles in life. Like, you know, one woman's son was, I can't say that word, but you know what I'm trying to say, and that was really hard for her. And you know, and I reached out and touched her and like, you know, asked her, can I give you a hug afterwards? And like we talked and it's all like so many connections instantly. And it's just like I walked in there and I was home in a way I've never felt before, especially in a church. And everything I'm talking about isn't exactly what they believe as a church, besides the fact that it fits within the beliefs. Does that make sense? So I could believe this, or I could believe pretty literally the Bible within the principles. It's a big tent with rules. Don't be a dick, basically. You know, don't be a dick. Don't force your dogma on other people in the church. So you can have your belief, you can talk about it. But you know what I mean? Don't force that kind of stuff. And then, like, obviously, like, be a good person, the principles. And to walk the walk, be a good person in your life, not just on Sundays. And also, UU doesn't give a shit what you believe. They give a shit about how you live your life, if that makes sense. And not that they interfere with your life, but the instruction is, hey, be a good person. Also, I'll tell you, I've only been in this for a few weeks, right? But so I've been to at least 3 services. Each one, I feel, has had a different background faith attached to it. So like one of them, it was a Jewish story that was told in a very non-Jewish way, meaning like it's not told as like you have to be Jewish, you know. It was the book of Ishtar, which is really the only book in the Jewish Bible that speaks about a person doing a great thing and no mention of God at all. And the person in that book also was a woman, how it happenstance, a very Sophian-esque character in a lot of ways in the story. And it also was kind of a bummer of a story, but also kind of good. And the story, ultimately, a bunch of Jews died and were murdered, except for a few of them didn't, because of what this girl did, this lady. She was like queen or something. And that was the moral, was the silver lining of the story, was that they survived because of this thing that happened. And that was good enough. And so now there's a holiday where they just like get drunk and party because not all of the Jews were killed in that situation. And that was basically that day's story. And the one last Sunday was originally, I think, an Islamic story. It was about a little boy who would go and make his parent or his grandparents tea and go see them. And moral of that story, long story short with that, is to fill your cup every day. Your spiritual cup, music and love and dance. He would dance and shit, and that was part of it. Like, so they take lessons from all the world, and like, you know, the church people have Bibles. We have a library, literally. You know, the world is a library for our faith to learn and seeking truth and meaning. Not forgetting that second part is probably the main tenet of UU. And that means looking everywhere. Everywhere. Well beyond the Bible. Even though it started 2,000 years ago, basically, from Christianity, it's more than that. No, that's funny. That's a sign, maybe. Those little serendipitous things that happen, they happen to me over and over these days. Those are very important in this. Pay attention to those. Look, as confusing as all this is, the way it works and the way she communicates is so beautiful. Like, it's so much more beautiful than our words, you know? Being able to communicate with serendipity, you know, in somebody's life, among with everything else, is so intricate and nuanced and beautiful in a way I can't even describe with words. Like, and that's something that I kind of wanted to, I guess, hope to glean in one of these is how to output. And I was thinking actually today that, and I don't really know, like, I don't pray to Sophia. I don't really ask her for things. Like, I have intentions or wants to go into certain things, but not any different than, like, anything else, you know? Because that's just not how it works, you know? Like, I work for her, not the other way around. And I don't need to be paid for that in that kind of sense. And I don't need to ask her for anything. Anything that I need, she will provide, or I will provide, which is also her providing. Or, similar with what I want, I can get it or I won't get it. But it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, it's not... It's just a waste of time. Is it for me personally? She already know. You know what I mean? And if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. Right? So I don't pray. And I don't worship. But I do my own version of things. It's maybe similar, I guess, but not the same. And I think if you do this right, or at least if you do it like me, and I hope I'm doing it right, you're not going to need to ask her for anything. Again, there's things I want, but like, you know, it's faith, I guess. And also, mother analogy that's useful. A kid going to the grocery store can ask his mom 10,000 times, as annoying as he wants, for that toy or that candy or whatever. But if that mom wasn't already gonna be planning on getting that, you ain't getting that, no matter how many times you ask, right? And like, maybe some people are different, you know. But I feel like that Sophia, she got a fucking shopping list and we sticking to it in this analogy, right? Not in a mean way, but like that's how it goes. Like that's just how it goes. She's the mom, right? We're babies, okay? We don't, you know. That being said, I'm not shitting on prayer at all. Because I think that for some people, that has an impact on themselves, more so than it is a request of Sophia. Right? And that's perfectly good. If it helps you, do it, you know? But I don't think that that's going to get you anything you weren't already going to get. That makes sense? Your prayers may be answered. And I'm not saying prayers aren't answered. Just that if you hadn't made the prayer, it still would have been answered. Is my kind of belief around that. Does that make sense? Well, there you go. That's different. That's a different thing. I'm talking about requests-based things. But yeah, like your prayers probably could be answered. They're not guaranteed to be, but also they were always going to be anyways, because it is complicated. So some people think that the idea of predestination, which is the thing that from the beginning everything has to happen in a certain way. It's all math, basically. Like Big Bang or whatever like it. Set in chain of events, cause an event that we don't understand well enough, the math and everything. But if you understood everything about everything in present state, you can predict every next thing to happen forever if you're able to compute that, right? Similar to that sight of all of time and everything that's going to happen exactly as it is something that Sophia has. Because Sophia is out of time in many ways, right? Well, she is and she isn't. Like, she is, but she's so powerful that, like, she's also in our time with us and growing with us over time, if that makes any sense at all. But, like, some people think that predestination can't exist in the same world as free will. If there's predestination, we don't have free will. If there's free will, we don't have predestination. That's dumb. That's not true. That's just not well thought out. We have free will. But does that mean that Sophia doesn't know every choice we're going to make before we make it? She didn't tell us which choice to make. We made that choice, but she has foreknowledge. And so all of our free will choices fit into her plan. And the universe was designed in such a way to match both with her plan and with the choices people are going to make in the long run. I believe. I have faith in that. Otherwise, this becomes a lot more pointless if we don't get where we need to go. However, that part of it I have faith in, but I leave room for that not being the case in that the multiverse exists. And perhaps if our universe fucks, our souls can just go to different, like, I feel like excuse me, like, if we just destroyed the whole planet right now, everyone on it, we didn't have a home anymore in this world, the souls are recycled. We can be used elsewhere, you know, and still have our chance until eventually every single one of us meets our ultimate destination, which is the same. Oh yeah, that's fine. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Boogie, did you go to bed? She did. She did just not. Did you go? Yeah, so. Look at it. But so, with that in mind, what was something else I wanted to say? I think it's important I'm kind of run through a lot of these ideas that I've gotten from her, for you guys to hear all at once. And I don't know,
The stream's still going. That's good. Shit, what does that say? Yeah, we've been going for 3 hours. But anyways, so I'm trying to think like what else do you need to know explicitly that I'm doing. And again, these are all my truths and my current thinking that I've been given. Yours may be different, or maybe it may be like I said before. Maybe one thing I say will be highlighted for you, where one won't be. Um, oh, that's one thing I was gonna say is that I would like. That's how I got this whole thing started. This prayer conversation. I would like to be able to output things and to help people with some of the things that she's helping me do to myself. But the biggest thing, if I had to ask for like one of these kind of superpowers, is I want to be able to send an understanding to someone. Instead of words, maybe paired with words, but for the things that need to be understood beyond words, I want to be able to package that up in energy and to the right people. Obviously, it has to be the right receiver. And I think that I haven't figured this out yet, but one thing I think you need to tell them to look for it and receive it. Tell them what it looks like, in this sense, with the eyes to see what it's going to look like. Explain it to them, what it will look like to their eyes, and send it in a certain way. And I don't know the details kind of between them, but like I think it will only work with others who have the sight to see or the ears to hear, and it may not work at all. It may not be possible. I'm saying I would like that to be able to explain things and give understanding rather than give words. That would be great if I could do that. And I think that's possible. Not like in a literal sense, but in a, again, sight to see, ears to hear, but not these literal ones sense, I guess. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to stretch my legs again. So, I mean, will you be here when I come back? Is my question, I guess. Because I will come back, if so. Not happy. You got stuff to do tomorrow. I mean, I do have to, well, actually, probably should go to bed around 1. So, maybe we'll chit chat for a couple minutes and we'll just end it. I don't know. My wife requested around 1, so I should probably do that. Alright. But, okay. That being in mind, I'll stick around, chat for a few minutes more. I mean, do you have questions? I mean, I feel like a lot of it's just like stream of consciousness, but questions are also good, you know. No question. Oh wait, you might type. You know what I want? I want old crystals, like geologically old. Um, it's hard. It's okay. It was really bad at first. Like it's good right now.
not say that. But I'll share this because there's only three of you. There was a point recently where I told her, either you're going to respect these things that I believe, or I can't be with you anymore. And that was not easy to say because it's not what I want. I love her very much. But like, she was laughing and making like fun almost of some of it. And like, originally it was like, I started telling her about something, just candles or something, and she said, well, what's next? You gonna start getting crystals and stuff too? And I was like, maybe, you know, and I am. But like, and that was a joke to her at the time, and she was not nice about it, and I did not care for that at all, and I was very mad. And eventually I just told her like, look, and I think that it just came from not really understanding very well and preconceived notions, so don't judge her. But like, I've never done that. I've never felt like anything was important enough to tell her, you need to respect this, or we can't, right? Like, and she does. And like, that did get better, don't get me wrong. But like, I was being truthful in that. I wasn't loving. And like, I was very clear. And that's not who I am. Like, I'm committed, and I believe in the commitment of it, and that, you know, the decision I made. I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, like, I basically died, and I'm a completely different person. I think I'm a better person, and I think who I used to be is still contained within. But it's like I'm Doctor Who and I regenerated. I'm a completely different person than who she married. But I also think that ultimately I am a better person than who she married, and I'm also a different person than who married her. Also in that. But you know what I mean? Like, that can still be okay, right? It doesn't, like, people grow. And that's what's happening is I've grown. Yeah, I think that you guys know this stuff way better than she does. It's part of that. Not that it's secret, but that's just like the way it works, I think, too. Um, little bits. And if she wants to, she can get more. But I think that is too much for her. And I also think that, you know, she's on her journey as well. You know what I mean? And it's hard because there's like, there's things that just shouldn't be said, especially on TikTok. You know what I mean? But like, this whole thing, separate from that issue, we'll separate it out from that. It's so lonely. Like, obviously you guys are here, I appreciate you, but that's not what I mean. Like, it's isolating. And obviously me and Sophia. But like, I don't know how I can be so surrounded by loving people and only a specific way lonely in this stuff. And perhaps, as I said, it's my cross to bear. But also,
like I said, I'm looking for my soul kin. And I think that some of them are not where I'm at, and I'm going to help them get there. And some of them are ahead of me. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know any of that. I'll know them when I see them. But it's cool. But thanks for letting me know. But yeah, it is hard for both of us, I think. I think that I just need to remember that I can't have it all. You know what I mean? Certain things that I might want. It's okay. Because, like, there's things that I have that I'm absolutely not willing to give up in order to have something else that I really would want too. Because I can't have them both. And clearly, one of those is the right choice, and that's where I am. You know what I mean? And that's where I'll be. But, like, I don't know. Thanks. Um, I- anyways, let's really change the subject. I'm looking for something that's subject change. I need to turn these lights on. I will forget. Yeah, I mean, I have to write another reflection, but there's like a funeral or something this Sunday after service, so we're not having class until next week. Um, so that's the thing. So I have 2 weeks to do it, so I probably won't do it today or tomorrow. I have other things to do. Well, today is tomorrow. Um, well, I'll tell you what. How about a joke? And I do have to wrap it up here in a few minutes, but a joke or two. Probably a good way to end it, so I'm not ending it as sad. I'm not sad. I guess I am. But... My grandmother's 90. She's dating. He's 93. They're very happy. They never argue. They can't hear each other. What you say?
Why are old people so wrinkly? You ever try to iron one? Somebody said. He's so old, his blood type was discontinued. I'm now at the age where I've got to prove that I'm just as good as I never was. I can tell I'm getting older. I'm starting to use those old people cliches. The other day, I actually told somebody I slept like a baby. Like I woke up hungry every 2 hours with poop in my pants. I'd say you're probably getting old. Like the doctor. This one isn't really a joke. Funny enough. The degree of one's emotion varies inversely with one's knowledge of the facts. The less you know, the hotter you get. Everyone has the right to their opinion, just so long as it agrees with mine. I am free of all prejudice. I hate everyone equally. What's the difference between an optimist and a pessimist? An optimist created an airplane. A pessimist created the seatbelts. Confidence. What you start off with before you completely understand the situation. Things are pretty bad. I saw two fellows downtown carrying signs, those signs that read, "The end is near," and they were synchronizing their watches. Oh my God. Woody Allen said this. I have an intense desire to return to the womb. Anybody's. Sir, let me explain something to Woody Allen real quick. Okay. Now, Mr. Allen, okay, this is the womb. Give me a marker that works. I need to explain some anatomy to Woody Allen. Isn't he dead? Okay? Listen. Woody, you say you want to be in there. Let me explain something to you, okay? So, this is the womb. This is where the baby goes. Cool, my candle just busted. Shit! Woody, you're fucking haunting me and shit. Where are my paper towels? I'm pissed at candle manufacturers for not using better glass that can take the heat of their fucking candles because they're cheap fucking pieces of shit. Where the hell did my paper towels go?
Shit, I'm gonna have to scrape it now, but I'll wipe some of it. Yeah, I understand that I could prevent it, but also, so could they with high temperature glass. Not even the really high temperature stuff, just like a little bit. Like, that's been burning for 3 hours. It should have come up to temp evenly enough and slowly enough that it shouldn't be an issue. But yet, it is. I mean, come on, they're using the cheapest glass they can possibly make. We know this. And look at the results for me. Whatever. Anyways, I don't think I forgot about you, Mr. Allen. Okay, so Mr. Allen, you say you want to return to the womb, any womb. Well, I have news for you, okay? So listen. All right, so this is the womb. All right, which, by the way, spiritual tip, the womb is also the universe. Like we're in Sophia's womb, okay? But so there's a thing here, Mr. Allen, and that's called the cervical plug or cap. And then this part, okay, we'll do it like that. This is really where you want to be. So we're just going to write Woody Allen in here. We'll just write Woody. That makes more sense. And we'll circle off his name, you know, but just like a half circle. That's where Woody Allen really wants to be. He wants to be right there, okay? Not in the womb. Not at all. Because he's not getting there because of this. You understand? Right? That's where he needs to be. Okay? With that joke, I'll end it. Now, the first part about him being in there was in the book. That's all me. And that could have been on fucking stage or something. That was funny. But I gotta go. That was a good way to end the thing. But thanks for hanging out. We're gonna leave that up for a bit and see if anybody notices it. And I'll clean up this shit tomorrow. Okay. So I'll see you. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. Stay safe. Hold on. All right. And YouTube, goodbye. Have a good one.